Pope Francis proposed on Thursday that caring for the environment be added to the traditional 7 works of mercy that Christians are called to perform, which include feeding the hungry and sheltering the homeless. The Pope, who has been a vocal advocate for action against climate change, said the faithful should use the Holy Year to ask forgiveness for their sins against the environment and to acknowledge our sins against creation, the poor, and future generations. The Pope made his comments in a message to mark the Church's World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation, which he instituted last year to highlight his ecological concerns.
That we did an experiment called propagation of white light, telling us that light travels in a straight line. Eclipse is the only physical phenomenon on Earth that proves that principle of rectilinear propagation of white light. And so,
Five areas of concern.
And as of Monday morning, there were actually 3 tropical cyclones, 2 depressions, and a hurricane, and another thing that we are watching for possible development.
5 storms, actually, that are going to affect land within the next 5 days.
And another even bigger one that we'll tease you about that may be coming off the coast of Africa.
Real setback for commercial space exploration today. A SpaceX rocket was destroyed when there was an explosion on the launch pad. KCAL 9's Cara Finstrom is in Hawthorne. She's at the company headquarters with reaction.
Some huge losses, and behind us here we want to give you a little context. This gives you a feel for the size of the rocket that was destroyed. Also destroyed, we've now learned, is an Israeli satellite called the Amos 6 that Facebook wanted to use to beam internet into parts of sub-Saharan Africa. Now, expanding access has been a big push for Mark Zuckerberg. He just tweeted this out. As I'm here in Africa, I'm deeply disappointed to hear that SpaceX's launch failure destroyed our satellite that would have provided connectivity to so many entrepreneurs and everyone else across the continent. This morning's blast was felt for miles in Cape Canaveral. This is video from USLaunchReport.com, where you can see just how powerful the explosion was. Afterwards, smoke filled the sky. NASA says SpaceX was test firing its Falcon 9 rocket with nobody on board when it exploded.
Okay, I want to draw your attention to the upper right part of this photo. You can easily see what NASA is calling an anomaly. Well, we'll just call it a UFO, because that's what it really is. What's on board this rocket, I have no idea what the payload is. People are saying it has to do with something to do with Facebook and the internet in Africa. And now in this photo, you can see in the upper left section, just right after the explosion, you can see the UFO right there. And here it is one more time. This is quite obvious, a UFO at Cape Canaveral.
A Russian telescope has picked up a signal from a sun-like star 94 light-years from Earth. A signal strong enough, some believe, to raise the possibility that it was sent intentionally by aliens. There are other, more prosaic explanations, according to skeptics, of which there are plenty in the scientific community. Joining me now is Miles O'Brien, CNN aviation analyst and science correspondent for PBS NewsHour. Miles, I got to say, when I first heard this story, it blew my mind. I'm kind of obsessed with it. I mean, who doesn't want to believe that there's a super advanced alien world out there trying to make contact with us? What are scientists doing right now? I mean, what do we know about this? How real is this?
Well, let's turn the clock back a little bit, Anderson. This discovery, whatever it was in May of 2015. The Russians didn't really tell anybody about it. They tried to replicate it, aimed their telescope at this star several times, upwards of 39 times, I'm told, and could never hear the signal a second time. So there's a lot of skepticism in the scientific community right now. Maybe it was a passing aircraft using its radar, maybe a satellite using microwave. We just don't know. Maybe it was some sort of alien civilization sending us a momentary signal.
Well, that's a bummer because I was actually a lot more excited about this before you started talking about it.
Tropical storm Hermine could also have a devastating effect on Florida's fight against Zika. There's concern the heavy rainfall and high winds will sideline efforts to control mosquitoes. And for the first time, officials have trapped mosquitoes carrying the virus in the continental United States. The insects were found within the Miami Beach Zika zone. And Michelle Miller is here with how officials are responding. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning. The discovery of Zika inside those mosquitoes confirms that the insects are in fact spreading the virus here in the United States. And as Hurricane Hermine hits Florida, where 49 people have been infected by local transmission, the state's governor is bracing for the impact.
We've got to get rid of standing water. That's the most important thing we can do now and after this storm.
Overnight, Hermine smashed into Florida's Gulf Coast, making landfall as a Category 1 hurricane around 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time, dumping torrential rain and unleashing powerful winds of 80 miles per hour. The first hurricane to hit the state of Florida in more than a decade has already knocked out power to tens of thousands of people. Roads in Alligator Harbor have been torn apart. Massive storm surges, some projected to be up to 12 feet high, are pummeling coastal areas. Evacuations are underway in areas north of Tampa, where water has jumped over seawalls and started to push into homes.
I don't know the condition of my house. I don't know if it's flooded or if it isn't. It's really, really, really bad. Like, I've never seen it this bad before.
As Hermine churns northward,
the street is completely underwater.
It's soaking parts of Florida that have already seen close to 2 feet of rain over the last 3 days.